right, guys. It's deep into earnings season now, in the thick of it. There's a lot going on. This is my ER watch list over here. I threw in QQQ and SPY just to see how the indices react to some of the big earnings. You can see here, out of the ones that reported last night, it's Microsoft all the way down to actually including ADP, Boeing, Hess, and T-Mobile were this morning. Meta and IBM tonight. All right. So out of all the ones that reported, Microsoft definitely had the best earnings report. They beat by 11%. They guided for a 7% beat. The stock is now up 5%. I kind of hesitated and wavered on this. I was on the call, man. It was one of the best conference calls I ever heard. I mean, this company is they just make money hand over fist. I mean, it's unbelievable. They're just firing on all cylinders in every segment. Um, what a great stock for the long term. But man, I got a little bit, I was just a little wavering on this because when they were giving the guidance, it wasn't clear, right? It wasn't like, the street is expecting whatever EPS and this is their guidance. They did it by segments and they kept mentioning um, the Activision acquisition with Activision, without Activision. So I didn't get a clear idea of what really is the guidance. So I had to go on social media and check. And then I saw, okay, I guess someone put the math all together and they said, all right, they beat guidance by 7%. All right, that's good. And then the stock was reacting badly to that. It shot up to like 350, then it was down like below 340, and then someone made a comment that, oh, this guidance includes Activision, this 7%. It includes Activision. Without Activision, they'd be like flat. I don't know if it's true, but that comment was made while the stock was tanking, and because I was on the call and I did hear that vagueness, or that for me it was difficult to understand about the Activision in and out, organic, not organic. So I kind of, bought into this idea that was put on social media. So I hesitated on this, and maybe I shouldn't have, because you see, it looks like it's just re-rating. A typical re-rating math that we do in earnings. Look at the guidance, by how much they beat the guidance. By 7%, they beat the guidance. If you do math on this 7%, it's about I did it earlier. What is it? $353.66. And then we look for technicals, like what's near that 353 area. And what you get this shoulder double top here at 351.50 roughly. You see, it was a peak here on June 16th and it was a peak again on July 25th. Right now, 347. It's basically, I don't see anything in between 347 and 351.50. So this could make a move to 351.50 if it stays bullish here and stays above some key moving averages. And then to the downside, I guess that pre-market low is something to really look at. That could be your support there at 342. So that's the story with Microsoft. We'll get back to it when we look at our top picks for the day. Other good earnings were Visa and Snap. All right, Vicker had terrible, and we'll get to Visa and Snap in a second. Vicker had terrible earnings. Actually, the earnings were good, the headline, but their backlog was down 20% sequentially. Stocks down 20%. I'm not willing to make a bet after it's already down 20%. All right. I did put this out on the in our chat last night that Vicker was down because of really bad backlog sequentially. Should have acted on it. Didn't. Wow, that would have been a quick 20%. So that's why Vicker is down so much. Okay. We'll get to Visa and Snap again. Google is down, even though they beat, I believe, on both the top and the bottom line. But I'm having trouble finding the guidance. I'm not sure if they provided guidance, but the reason it's down is because their cloud came in under expectations. Cloud revenue came under expectations at the same time that Microsoft cloud revenue was over expectations. So what I think is happening here is, despite whatever the overall numbers are for Google, they're looking at this important cloud segment and saying Microsoft is eating their lunch. Let's move our money from Google to Microsoft. I believe that's the dynamics of what's happening today. So even though the overall numbers for Google look good, it's this sentiment, basically. There's some sentiment premium being eroded about who's going to be the long-term winner in cloud. Is it going to be Microsoft or Google? And that's why we're seeing this down 6% move. Is it overdone? Can this reverse? Maybe it's going to be something we're watching today. I don't think it's going to be a top pick to say, let's just buy Google here down 6% and predicting reversal. I don't. That's the dynamics of what's going on. TDoc was a modest miss, down 7%. Boeing is interesting because Boeing missed, but it's up significantly. Why? Why is it up 3%? Well, because they kept their guidance in line. There's a backstory here. Look, this has been down viciously for 3 months, above the 20 DMA from 238 all the way to 182 because of some issue with one of their products, 737. I think it was. I don't know. Yeah, it was one of their here. I don't know which airplane it was. There's a problem. There was a problem with one of their airplanes, one of their big products, and people were worried that they would reduce their guidance again. Okay, that was a sentiment. That's why I was down so much. They ended up not reducing their guidance again. They said, "All right, our guidance is still good. The reduction we made last quarter, that was it, right?" That's why you're seeing this bounce up 3% over the 20 DMA, even though again they missed for the quarter, but their guidance stays the same. At least I think so. I honestly didn't have a lot of time to study this one, but that seems to be the case over the 20 DMA. So that's actually interesting. Could be an interesting play, Boeing, actually. In fact, you know what? I might put that near a top 5 or in a top 5 to watch. All right. Then TMUS, by the way, they beat by 1% on guidance. I don't see an opportunity there. It's up 1%. Okay. Hess, I didn't have a chance to look at. Okay. Now, Snap had really good earnings, actually. They beat. They had a surprise profit. They had a surprise profit of 3 or 4 cents versus, here it is, 2-cent surprise profit versus a 4-cent loss estimate. And they beat on revenue, 1.19 billion versus 1.11 billion. That's ordinarily really good. And plus a 500 million buyback. What's negative? The only negative thing in here is they said that they cannot provide guidance because right after the war broke out in Israel, October 9th, they said starting October 9th on Monday, they already saw a large decrease in advertising spend. And I think they said it's starting to come back, but due to the geopolitical uncertainty and the impact that's having on the economy, this is interesting. Is there a read-through here on the entire economy? Are people worried that, wow, why would advertisers cut spending, right after the war? They're worried about a regional breakout. Maybe they're worried people will travel less, maybe less air travel, less vacations, whatever it is. I mean, yeah, I was planning on going on vacation in a few months. We were thinking of either going to Dubai or Israel or both or something like that. That's gone. We're not going, right? So maybe advertisers know that they're advertising less. So definitely this war is having some sort of economic impact. But is there a read-through there for the rest of the economy? Is this going to mute any kind of overall market rally, this little tidbit of information we're getting from Snap? Otherwise, the earnings were really good. Look at this, riding up to 20 right now, $10. Let's look at the technicals here. It's in between the 50 and the 200. I guess you can say you got resistance at 1026, and you got support here all the way at 924. This is something that we might play a little bit. Visa, I didn't delve deep into this. They raised their dividend nicely. They did a buyback. It seemed like good news, but it's down. I didn't listen to the conference call. Maybe there's something in the guidance. Visa's outlook comes in better than feared, but stock dips after earnings. I didn't have a chance to understand why Visa is not up, even though they beat modestly and they initiated this buyback program. So I didn't have time. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. Might be an opportunity or it might be priced right that it's down 1.8%. So let's go to our morning show list. I just want to say, so Microsoft, Snap, and BA. Okay. So now let's go actually quickly. Let's look at the macro. All right. Macro, actually, I don't see anything that really stands out here. Well, Bitcoin's up to 2.3%. That's interesting. Maybe we'll see continuation there. Gold up. I think that's geopolitical again. So we have a gold swing. But other than that, I do want to point out the TLT has been exploding. Well, this morning is now. But look at this move off 82.50. This was Bill Ackman coming in, and he tweeted. As soon as he tweeted, I'm covering my short on bonds because of why? Because I'm worried about stocks and geopolitical uncertainty, right? This is interesting because that's not the paradigm we've come to get used to in the last couple of years, where it used to be when I was a kid for decades, for 2-3 decades, right? The paradigm was stocks down, bonds up, stocks up, bonds down. It was basically a flight to safety play. That's how it always was until the last 2 years, right? Because of this crazy inflation that changed the story. But then what Bill Ackman said, he was referring to the old paradigm. Is like, stocks down, geopolitical uncertainty, bonds up. I'm covering my bonds short. And then interesting that the market's buying into that here the last couple of days. Look at TLT just surging into the close yesterday. Ordinarily, we would have seen KRE surge into the close. You would have seen IWM with a huge surge into the close. You would have seen RK with a huge surge into the close. It had the surge in the open because of coin and Bitcoin. But in any case, is the paradigm of TLT shifting, the bonds shifting? That's something to pay attention to. All right. It may not be as much of a reliable indicator as it has been for us. All right. Look at gold and Bitcoin. Again, are these by the way, I haven't changed my mind on the war and the risk of regional war. And that's why I've been moving in my retirement account to cash and gold. But gold and Bitcoin, interesting to see that. Is that part of the fear trade reemerging? I haven't listened much about geopolitical news this morning, but I think it's coming. All right, let's go to morning show list. And okay, before I start ordering these, I want to add Bank of America to this. So let's just go over here, scroll down to the bottom. Got 9 days left on this beautiful app. All right, it's not perfect. Like I can't tap and got to go to the top in 1 second. I will be able to do that on Webull, but we're going to lose a lot of other stuff. All right. So as we wait to move Boeing all the way to the top, I don't mean that it's a number one yet. I'm just saying, just so we can look at it more closely. And by the way, Boeing has a defense component too, and defense stocks are up this morning. It's interesting. Gold is up, Bitcoin's up, VIX is up a little bit, and defense stocks are up. We'll talk about RTX, but it's not only RTX. Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman are up this morning also. All right, in no particular order right now. Let's talk about Geo first. Okay, you know the thesis in Geo, border security and border monitoring. Geo a few days ago bounced off some key moving averages, then just exploded yesterday. Now, as part of this explosion, or right before this explosion, someone bought $1 million of January $8 call options. I believe it was January. Yeah, I think it was that one. Wow, these January call options are a lot of money in them. Okay, so right before that happened, you saw this block trade, $1 million in January call options. The thing exploded to right near breakout level. See this gigantic cup? And then it looks like maybe it was a little handle. So this cup breakout here is 909. And I really don't see much. After 909, maybe it could surge towards 10. So I think that's possibly in play today. All right. Now it's down this morning. So maybe initially, if it does re-challenge 909, maybe it gets rejected there again intraday. Pull back and then maybe retest it again to the upside. That's in play today. I'm not saying it definitely happens, but that's definitely in play. And then if it breaks 909, maybe a move to $10 is possible on Geo. Okay. What else? Boeing we just talked about. Wow, this does look good, man. Over the 20 DMA. And let's see what these levels are at. That candle's there at 190.25, so a little bit of resistance at 190.25. I'll call it 190 because the bottom of this gap is 190. So 190, some resistance at 190, and then we'll have to see. But maybe this can make a move to 190 out of the gate. All right, I got to talk about RTX. I talked about Microsoft already and the targets on that. Okay. So, wow, look at Snap making a move, 1017. Did I go over the levels on Snap? Let's see. I did. So we went through the levels now on Snap, Microsoft, Boeing. These are all earnings plays. All right. Gold. Gold is doing okay. Check this out. Let's see. 183.56. If we break 183.56, then we could make a big move towards 185. We'll see at 183.56. Write that level down on gold. So gold is looking good this morning. But RTX, this was, I believe, our top pick yesterday. We ended up doing okay on it, actually. Made money on the call options. Wasn't easy, but it did have a slight upward trajectory towards the end of the day. RTX yesterday in the press release regarding this really massive buyback program. Let's go look at it. $10 billion accelerated share repurchase program. All right. $10 billion. Now, the wording in there said that they would initiate. What does that mean? Accelerated. Accelerated why? How do they define accelerated? In the press release, they define accelerated by saying almost immediately. So almost immediately, trust me, you can go look at it yourself, but almost immediately, $10 billion buyback, which is like, that's like 8%. That's like 8%. That's like 130 million shares, something like that. The average daily volume on this thing is like 10 million, 8 million. Yesterday was 25 million. Almost immediately. Did they even start yesterday? Maybe they didn't even start yesterday. Okay. Maybe they're starting today. Or maybe almost immediately meant they're starting yesterday afternoon. I don't know. We're talking about a massive amount of potential demand here for the stock. And RTX, we talked about yesterday afternoon, 7850 was the resistance level. After 7850, you have 8050 is the next resistance, 8050, and then after that, 8350. All right, the gap here, 8050, and then 8350. So I really, really like RTX here. I think it's a good sign. A lot of volume this morning over that 7850 level. Let me just quickly see how Lockheed Martin's up a little bit, 0.25%. Northrop Grumman, let's check that. Up a little bit, but it's at the ask and no volume. So I can't really necessarily say this is the defense sector going up right now. But I think I just gave a really compelling argument for RTX and why this could be the number one pick. So let's try to order these. I think RTX looking good going in the open. This would be a good one, I think, to play options on. Snap looking fun. So a lot of interesting things going on here. Wow. So Boeing looks interesting, but you know what? Simply because I don't know Boeing as well. I don't know if we've ever traded before. Maybe once we traded before once. So I'm gonna go ahead and put RTX ahead of Boeing. Okay. And wow, we got 6 here. What am I gonna do? Man, is it crazy to put RTX? I know Geo had this crazy breakout, but I think I gave a really good argument for RTX right now with that massive buyback program that might be starting. Just look at this volume, pretty high, 31,000. All right, you know what? I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do RTX first and then Geo. All right, RTX and then Geo. Okay. And maybe yeah, I think we'll do that. I think we have 6 stocks we're monitoring here today. So LAP, by the way, had some news this morning. $9 million for a $5 million contract after the Lockheed Martin contract the day before. So it could have a nice, bid today. It's already doing well in pre-market. Look at that. SRAD had a contract with MGM Bets or something like that this morning. BetMGM announces official partnership with Sportradar. All right, good for them. I can see that stock doing well today. So those will be on our radar. Iron, which we played well yesterday, is up 2% with Bitcoin surging this morning, up 2.5%. So we could see Iron doing well. POW, POWW, I'm going to have on my radar because why? Because Geo's taken off. Maybe that sentiment is going to take off with the internal domestic fears of terrorism. That's what Geo and POW are about. So maybe POW, we have a swing in this. We're just waiting for that to take off at some point. By the way, PanW got an analyst upgrade, but there's too much other stuff going on here we talked about, so I'm not going to focus on that. Chewy got an upgrade from sell to neutral. Chewy's been decimated, so I could see this turning around. So these are the ones like we'll keep an eye on today. All these ancillary names I just mentioned, in case one of our top picks don't work out, we see relative strength in something else. We may rotate in one of those ones I just told you about. All right. So that being said, RTX number 1, Geo number 2, and then I'm going to kind of group Boeing, Microsoft, and gold together because these are interesting for call options. They're all very high price stocks. They all have a bull thesis I just talked about that could work out. So maybe what we'll do is like small amount call options in these three or two of the three or something like that, but really focus our firepower on RTX as the number one pick. And then Snap. Snap, interesting, maybe trading common shares today. All right. We'll see. So we're going to leave it at that. RTX number one, Geo number two, Boeing, Microsoft, Gold kind of tied for number three. And then we have Snap number four. How about that? All right. And we're going to be watching these other ones, as I mentioned, for opportunities. Iron looks interesting, really does. Maybe we'll pick up common shares in some of these other ones we talked about that have a thesis this morning. All right. And with that, we'll catch up with you at 1 p.m. Eastern. Good luck, everyone. Have a great day.